Hi, this is Muho once more. I'm sorry for the foggy video in the morning. When I had a look at it, the position of my hands was actually worse than I'd expected. It's usually different from the way I think I hold my hands, but when I did the first demonstration of the kind of traditional way to have the right hand on top of the left heel and then the left hand on top of the right, actually it was better than when I demonstrated how I usually hold them. Usually I have them like this. Then actually my right hand seems to be higher, even when I put a towel here for support. Anyway, so one thing that's difficult with the hands is usually you can't see them. With the feet you can see them. Also, if your body is straight, usually you can kind of somehow figure it out. If you, for example, you got your nose here and you see how kind of your left knee and the right knee relate to your nose. Well, with the hands it's actually pretty tricky to get them straight. One thing that also in the adult practice articles, you find the links below. I write about it, but maybe I explain here about the zafu. In Zen, the Soto Zen tradition, we use these round cushions, so-called zafus, for support. You can sit without, but it's very hard to keep the knees on the mat without a zafu. So usually there's at least one of the knees floating in the air, maybe even both, and then you have less stability. So it's good to have a zafu, and if you want to really find out what's the best height for you, you might, for example, experiment with putting a towel or 2 towels, 3 towels below the zafu to make it a little bit higher, and see how that changes your posture. What you can also do is use a belt like this if you want it really high. And usually in the beginning it helps to have the zafu a little higher than usual zafu. Some people, they put 2 on each other, but you don't have good stability if you have 2 over each other. But if you have a belt around it like this, it becomes quite high. So actually for me that's a little bit too high now, but in the beginning I preferred it higher. For me in the beginning, the higher I sat, the easier it was. Now I prefer a little lower zafu, smaller zafu. And also it changes for me if I sit in half lotus. Having it high isn't a problem. So in half lotus, if it's too low, then you'll press on the foot that's under the other foot. So if the zafu is too low, this foot also will start to hurt. But in the case of full lotus, you don't have that problem. So a little lower for me in the case of full lotus feels more comfortable. There's one thing that I was saying when the first video broke off. The camera usually shuts it off by itself after 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. I was explaining about pain. So one thing that's important is you don't fight the pain during zazen. On the other hand, I was also talking about switching legs. I switch legs, but usually I try to motivate people to not switch legs during the actual sitting period. So in Antaji we sit in the morning from 4 to 5 for 1 hour, and then there's Kinhin, and then we sit another 15 minutes until 6. So if you want to switch legs, what I meant is that you sit with a different leg up during the next period. So if you sit in a group, usually out of, how do you say, consideration for the people that sit with you, I would encourage people to make an effort not to switch legs during the period. On the other hand, it's important not to fight against the pain, not to cause you harm. So how is that possible, to not fight the pain but still sit unmovable? Now that's a tricky one, especially if you sit by yourself. So that's, again, it's important to sit with a group, have a teacher in person that you can meet and that shares zazen with you, shares that time with you, shares that space with you. Of course, it's also good to sit at your home, but I think from time to time it's good to check with a real existing group for these reasons. But when people live here in Antaiji, they come to Antaiji practice here, what I say to them, especially before the 5-day sessions, during such a session we sit, well, basically for 5 days, from 4 in the morning, 5 periods until 9. Then there's breakfast at 9, and then from 10 to 3, again 5 periods. There's a second meal at 3, and then from 4 to 9, again 5 periods, 15 periods a day until 9 o'clock, and then the next day, same schedule. What happens is that, well, you can make it through the first day, but then on the second day you're only counting time. You don't know what time it is, but you're just waiting for the bell to ring, and once it rings, it's over. But then kinhin, and the next period starts. So in the afternoon of the second day, you very seriously, if you can possibly make it. Maybe I won't make it. Maybe it's time to leave now, you start to think. And then on the third day, it might actually feel as this is going to kill me. Either I leave now or I'm going to die. This is killing me. So what I tell people before the session is, actually you have nothing to worry about. Because there's a graveyard behind the meditation hall. If you die, we're going to take care of your funeral. And although I've been saying that since I became the abbot, nobody has died. Miraculously, nobody has died. Some people left during session, but everybody who stayed survived. And from my experience, the moment you tell yourself during zazen, okay, I can't take this pain anymore. And I don't want to shift my legs all the time. I don't want to run away from the pain. But I can't fight it anymore. I can't take it anymore. So I'm just going to die now, here, on the cushion. And from my experience, in that moment, everything gets easy. Everything gets easy because you don't have a reason to fight anymore. Also, you have no reason to shift your legs anymore. The pain doesn't disappear, but the pain stops to hurt in a kind of, sounds paradoxical, but the pain is still there, but it doesn't hurt anymore. All this kind of psychological multiplication that you usually do. For example, we don't have it now anymore, but in the past in Antaiji we had this clock at the wall that used to make a very small sound at 9 minutes before the hour. And zazen always ends on the hour. And usually, kind of this psychological pain is like a sand clock. Do you say so in English? Kind of, you almost can tell what time it is by the pain you feel. And when you hear that small sound, 9 minutes to the hour, then you know now it's time for the last 9 minutes of pain. Sometimes what happens is if there's a wind blowing or lots of birds making sound, sometimes you don't hear that sound 9 minutes to the hour. So when the bell rings on the hour, you're surprised because psychologically this last 9 minutes of pain haven't started yet. So sometimes it happens if you haven't heard that small sound, then you're surprised, oh, it's already over. You didn't expect it. And then the opposite thing can happen. For example, if there was hard work before session or you ate a lot, sometimes happens that you have more pain than usual. And it's still 15 minutes before the hour, but you think it must already be 9 minutes before the hour. Maybe there was, because of the wind or something, I didn't hear it. And then a couple of minutes later, when actually there's still 8 minutes, 7 minutes to go, you think now the bell must ring anytime. Or actually that can happen 10 minutes. 10 minutes before the hour, somehow psychologically you feel it's already ready for the bell. And then you hear that sound 9 minutes before the hour. And you go, ah! I'm dying. It's killing me. Although nothing really changes in that moment, the only thing you hear is that sound, but psychologically you experience all these 9 minutes of pain that you thought you had already behind you. So in the moment that you sit and you're just ready to die, in that moment, all of that psychological part of the pain, which can be 99% of the pain, disappears, and what stays is only the actual pain. But it doesn't hurt anymore because you're ready to die. And then at the end of the period and at the end of the session, you realize, wow, it's a wonder, it's a miracle that I'm not dead. But again, as I said in the morning, in the first video, don't hurt yourself. If possible, find a teacher, find a group with whom you can share this practice. About the details, you find the links, if you watch this video, on the Antasia homepage to my past articles on the zazen posture, on crossing the legs, folding the hands. Yes, so much. So this video, I hope you could see me better without the fog. So once more, I said that in the morning, if you can, cross the legs, bring them up here. The hands should be sitting not here in the where the hips are, but they are on the feet, if the feet are resting on the thighs. If you sit Burmese, of course, you don't have the hands down here, but in this case you would have them here. If you need support here, you can put a towel here. Will give you